Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to The Last Comic Book Artist. I'm now a YouTube host. I think I've done this a few times now, and I'm getting maybe just a little bit better at it. I'm bringing to you today two very, very special guests. Tim, the Phantom Limb,
That is me.
and Mr. Creepy, Mark Pellegrini.
Hey, how's it going?
You like your nicknames?
Ah,
It's funny because Phantom Limb is actually like another email account I use. So I actually got chills when you said that. I was like, how did you know I used that name? So
I've
good,
been
good minds think alike, I guess.
I just asked Google Alexa, and she tells me all of your secrets.
Oh my gosh, no surprise there.
All right, so we are talking about crowdfunding today, about creating comic books, about selling comic books, about audience engagement, customer satisfaction. I can't get no, 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 do.
Mitch, I didn't
Hey,
know you
hey, hey.
sang. My goodness,
Was that really good? I don't know.
it was better
I,
than me. I mean,
uh, I,
heck.
I come from a musical, a quasi-musical family, and I do play the guitar, and I've been practicing the Butter song that Ethan Van Sciver has made famous. So I'm going to do an acoustic version at some point of the Butter. I lick the butter in your fridge.
so you're from one of those Jackson 5 families? Is that it? Were you part of like a musical variety show when you were a kid?
I think that was my mom's dream, but I wasn't having any part of that. Okay, so let me pull up my YouTube here so I can see how many people are joining in. 33 people, so we're starting to get a crowd. It's starting to go into a crowd mode here. So Tim Lim has a new comic book on Indiegogo. Would you call it a comic book? It's kind of an extended length. We don't know what to call these things really because they're not really graphic novels. They're not really 20 or 22 page comic books. They're quarterlies or something like that. I don't know what we're going to call them, but we have to come up with a parlance. Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about the girth, the girthiness of your Indiegogo campaign, along with Chuck Dixon and Brett R. Smith. And was this edited by Mark Pellegrini or contributions by Mark Pellegrini?
Yeah, contributions by Mark Pellegrini.
Trump's Space Force. So brought to you by us like a super band, a super team of comic book creators. The greatest space farce since Spaceballs.
Oh, I love that.
Trump's Space Force. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the girthy silliness of Trump's Space Force?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like our president, you have to go over the top with a lot of this humor, but the essential plot of it involves like why the Space Force was created. And so it's kind of a fictionalized, it's kind of weird. You know how you have these, not revisionist histories, but historical fictions. This is almost like a fiction that takes place in the present. The plot is that there's been these ancient aliens, the CNN, and they have come from outer space ages ago. And what they do is they enter planets and they disguise themselves and they try to enter echelons of government and society where they have influence and they try to subvert it. And what they're doing is they're setting the Earth up for invasion in this particular instance. Well, there's benevolent aliens from a distant galaxy, and so they basically astral project and they warn us that that's what these people are doing. And so they give us the schematics for all of their tech so that we can prepare for the invasion. So that's the entire reason why Trump develops the Space Force, is so that we can actually go beyond our solar system and encounter them before they can actually invade us. So he gets his ragtag team of people who have been loyal to him, people from the MAGA coalition, random celebrities that he trusts. You know, he hires people the way he hires in business. Sometimes it's not necessarily about your pedigree, but your ability to get the job done. So he assembles these people and he meets them head on in the vast depths of space. It's a lot of fun. It is a space farce in a way, but it is definitely going to be a lot of action, a lot of humor, thanks to Mark Pellegrini. It has a very good team of people that I think we all are pretty familiar with. Chuck Dixon is the writer. You have Dave Dorman on the cover. Brett Smith is helping me with the art. He's our colorist, and obviously I'm the artist. And where Mark comes in is obviously we've had 2 runs writing Trump, so Mark knows his parlance pretty well. So he actually took Chuck's script and added some humor to it, added some jokes without actually altering the dialogue itself. So we're really excited about it.
Wonderful. So I just had an idea, and it may be too late to write this in. I don't know. But what if? So it just is it coincidence? It can't be coincidence that the aliens are invading right now, right?
Correct.
What year does the book take place?
It takes place right now.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes place right now. It can't be coincidence. So here's my theory. My theory is that the Earth had previously been protected by America's great NASA scientists. They had written in the space station. Maybe it linked up some kind of shield around Earth, or protected us from alien invasion. But the keys for these were lost when Hillary smashed her servers. You like that?
I do, and if Chuck is listening, I think you're actually onto something. I can't reveal it's actually part of the plot, but you're very, very, very close. So,
oh man,
I mean, this is literally one of those things where if Chuck is listening, it's just going to take him one sentence to bridge things together. So, yes, you are definitely connecting the pieces.
Are Trump's hands large enough to hold a space laser?
They are. They're huge. They are huge.
They are huge. I don't want to spoil the ending, so you don't have to comment on this. But I imagine the last page is there is a giant golden wall built around the Earth.
It might not be gold.
Okay.
And I can't say that there's going to be a wall, but wink, wink. People seem to want this wall, so we like giving to customers what they want. So I think one of the things that we've told people is we've had all these great ideas. People are saying like, will there be a wall? Does it turn out that so-and-so ends up being an alien? And my answer is there a giant robot? My answer is, if there's enough demand for it and we are paying attention, there's a pretty good chance we're going to work it into the book because we know what people want. They tell us.
Someone on Twitter said they wanted Space Trump to strap on a jetpack and fight Rocket Man.
Well, maybe this could be a chance for unity, and the North Koreans help us. Right? We have a common enemy. We have bridged the gap between some of our differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, but peace doesn't make for good comics, though.
No, it doesn't. Where did Mitch go?
Conflict.
Mitch dropped out of his own stream. Didn't see that.
Yeah, he's gone? well, we're still live.
We're still live, so let's keep on talking.
Yeah, right. We can talk about whatever we want now. Yeah, Trump.
Yeah, we're free. We're free. The shackles have been removed. Yeah, so Chuck, actually, I couldn't believe he was awake at like 2:00 in the morning, but he and I were talking about it, and he's really up for these revisions. So he's completely open to ideas and suggestions as they come. Obviously, I haven't drawn the full book yet. It's about 1/3 of the way finished. Brett is working on the colors. So actually, I like that idea of Rocket Man kind of flying in at the last minute for a gravital slingshot assist or whatever it might be. But Chuck looked over your revisions to it and he liked them. He didn't have any complaints or anything like that. So it's all gravy.
Cool. Yeah, Chuck seems like he's been in the business so long that I don't think anything really bugs him anymore.
Well, not just that, but a book like this is supposed to be fun, which means that we're not tied to continuity. We're not tied to what's going to happen next, that type of thing. He knows that the essential script is very much intact. Everything else at this point is just kind of addressing to it. But I mean, for example, one thing that was lacking in the script was a 2-page spread. And from an artist point of view, that's actually pretty easy to do. I just basically have to put 3 pages in. And so instead of having like a page that says generic action, I just have to say, well, it's not generic action. There's going to be a 3-page or 2-page splash plus another book.
As I consider my page rate writing Red Rooster, I feel really guilty if I put, like a splash page, like Red Rooster fights so-and-so. Artist interpretation. And then I can move on.
I know. So Mitch is kind of joined us again. He he had to dip out for a second, go to the phone booth, put on his Red Rooster costume, punch someone, and then come back. So we're glad to have you back here.
The real story is much more mundane. My laptop died, I've moved into an office, which my main computer is at my office, and it's an iMac, so I can't transport it. So I have this old laptop that I've been cleaning up so I can use at home. But the battery is totally shot on this old laptop, so I didn't realize how shot it was. So basically, 20 minutes and it's kaput. So I had to go plug it in and get the cord and all that kind of stuff. So thankfully, I'm back. What I miss?
Oh, nothing. We were bouncing off your idea for Little Rocket Man, and we were talking about how the good thing about this type of book is that because it's not really held fast to a solid story that revolves around a continuity that's going to precede it or come afterwards. Chuck is definitely open up to suggestions, as opposed to, say, like a Red Rooster script. You can't just have third person come in and make changes willy-nilly and not have that alter your fundamental timeline. So we were talking about the difference in the type of storytelling that is involved there. And I told Mark, right as you entered, that one thing that was lacking in the Chuck script was that there was no splash page. There was no 2-page spread. And so I basically took one of Chuck's pages and extended it to accompany that, so we could put a little bit more action and a little bit more punch in it. And then Mark was saying, yeah, he kind of feels guilty as a writer when he says, like, page 10, really awesome action scene. Have fun.
Yeah. Well,
gotta earn that page rate.
You didn't read the fine print of your contract, Mark. That it says pages with less that require less than 20 words are distributed for free.
Oh, you're going to regret that, because now I'm going to go full Chris Claremont on you, and it's just going to be pros.
Oh, no. Oh, man, you got me there. I don't know. Okay. So, all right. Well, man, you guys like all my ideas. I like this. So this is a not only a crowd-funded parody farce comic book, but it's also a crowd-contributed narrative in many ways.
It is. I'll get for anyone listening here, here's a nice treat. So we have definite throwbacks to, like, the Transformers as far as visual design is concerned. Obviously, people have seen, like, the Robotech and Star Blazer's influence. But one thing that was not in the script, unbelievably, was robots. So that was the big thing that people were saying, like, oh, we hope it transforms. We hope there's a robot in here. And behind the scenes, we were like, we actually don't have a robot. Let's put a robot in. So if you're listening, there's gonna be a robot. I will work it in visually. It might not be in the actual script if people look at it, but the good thing is that there's enough openness to it that I can easily take a panel of action and we'll throw the robot in there. So we like hearing feedback from people.
So it's like a jam session comic, basically. Every time you get together,
I like it. I like the idea. We get ideas all the time because, Mark and I are kind of known as the Easter egg guys now. And so people have these great ideas for Easter eggs. And I say, yeah, I hate drawing crowd scenes because the funny thing about a crowd scene is you got to make up people into crowd. And I'm not good at that. So I try to populate crowds with things I know. So the same goes for other little plot elements where if it just says action here, well, what does that mean? If someone has an idea like, oh, have Trump roundhouse kick an alien in the balls, I'm like, you got it. That's what we're going to put in there. And then that way, when they get the book, they'll be like, hey, that was my idea. And it's like, yeah, that's that's me. No, that's me acknowledging that I paid attention and I'm actively looking at what you're saying.
Please sign this waiver saying it was not your idea. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so you were saying about the Red Rooster thing. So Mark and I have the way I work is, this is obviously a parody, right? This is a farce. This is for enjoyment and fun and a few laughs and adventure. But Mark and I have constructed something very different with Red Rooster, which is this very tightly wound deal where we've plotted, we did this 48-page special and then plotted 12 issues beyond this, some of them very, very, very tightly. And we know kind of where it has to go. If you move one piece, then it's like, you got to kind of untangle all these other spots and then re-throw them back in together. And Mark, we're going to have to figure out something. So I'm just going to tell you this live on air. So the golden girl character with the white hair and the patch, she has a role. She has a very important role in the book, but this character has been just the image of this character has been hugely popular. We don't have a name for this character yet, or the name is. I've just been saying the name is top secret, but I just gave myself away.
Oh, nice going, man. We don't know what we're doing.
But I've seen now 2 or 3 images where she's side by side with Red Rooster and Rascal, and they just look awesome together, like absolutely awesome.
We gotta bring her into the ongoing a bit faster than we anticipated, I guess, or give her.
Yes, absolutely. She's going to have to come in because originally it was going to take a few issues for her to get all geared up. I wish we could get her into the special, but it's not that kind of story. She just doesn't have a part for that story.
Yeah, there just isn't any room in the special, I think, for any more characters.
They look absolutely fantastic together, and people love seeing them together. So, I'm going to make this promise: when we do a cartoon, and I'm going to make it happen. When we do a Red Rooster cartoon, it's going to be different in the same way that, like, Ninja Turtles cartoons are different from Ninja Turtles comics or whatever. This character is going to play a big part. She's going to be she's going to be the Casey Jones of our Ninja Turtles cartoon.
I have a question. Have you decided on the name of the character?
Top secret.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I think the most obvious one, and this is probably not her name, but it would be Golden Chick, because there's literally a chain restaurant in Texas, and it's called Golden Chick, and it's a chicken restaurant. So that's all I'm gonna say. Like I said,
is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna name all of our characters after chicken restaurants. Let's bring in Red Robin. Oh, that's taken.
Oh my gosh, I'd be hungry all the time if you. Oh yeah, Red Robin is taken. Darn it, by DC Comics.
We got to change. We got to change Red Rooster's real name to Carl Jr.
Oh my gosh.
No, she's a bit of a darker character than Frank Cooper, who is the Red Rooster. She is more enlightened than Frank Cooper, and has some things to show him. Her name, her look, her mystique has to sort of reflect this, and I don't want to give too much away. It's just that she is a mystery character, and everybody's asking about her, which I love. And I've had so many people tell me they just love that design. So I think we struck gold, pun intended, with that character. We struck gold with that character. So I'm really pumped. But our female character for Red Rooster Golden Age is Miss Midnight, aka Capalcola Girl, for which I am drawing a poster right now, and Elizabeth's going to color it. It's going to look fantastic. I'm having a great time drawing this kind of saucy, vintage style poster ad. The sketch for it is on our Indiegogo, so you can only imagine how the finished will look with Elizabeth Breitweiser's colors.
Well, it's saucy yet tasteful, like a fine marinara.
Yeah, aged on the Kroger shelf for a good 7 months. That's magnifique. So, Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role in Trump's Space Force, and why was it not called Trump's Space Farce?
Oh, that's because that's what the opposition was going to call it. We're just throwing them a bone.
Okay.
They're already calling the real Space Force the Space Farce. Like, oh, that's clever. So my role is actually probably the most minimal of all the contributors so far. What happened was Tim got the script from Chuck, and he sent it to me. It's like, Mark, can you add some jokes to the dialogue? We can't change the plot or anything, but if you can just look at some of the dialogue and think it would be funny if X said Y, just add it in there in green. And so I did. I went through the script and I just punched it up. I just punched up the dialogue a bit. Chuck's story was really solid and really fun, full of action. So I didn't need to add anything to that. I just tried to make it a little bit funnier. And we got some good gags in. Tim was one of those things like, oh, that seems like it was. I don't know if that was too obvious or low hanging fruit, but we should have put that one in there.
So as we found out on the radio yesterday on the Dave Ellswick show, Chuck Dixon has phone conversations with Sly Stallone. So, Mark, what do you think gives you the right to take your crude crayons and scribble all over this great work of literature?
Oh, I have no right. I am beneath these people. I'm beneath anyone who talks to. Well, that's crap. Just because you talk to Sly Stallone doesn't mean you're top dog. I mean, that would mean like Frank Stallone is the greatest thespian of our times, but I don't think so.
Well, I think it's specifically what they're talking about, right? Which is about making some of his books happen in terms of film, all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, no, I mean, Chuck Dixon he's amazing. I've been reading his comics obviously my whole life. The guy created Bane. All of his contributions to Batman, are legendary stuff that's still being used today. It's kind of a shame that DC Comics doesn't promote him the way they do like Jim Lee and put him on the same level pedestal. But his run on Batman, he's touched everything. He's done A Nightmare on Elm Street for Wildstorm. There's nothing Chuck Dixon hasn't done.
Okay, I've been ignoring the chat, so they're gonna get on to me.
Oh boy.
Let's see here. Let me.
Well, the outpatient says that Frank Stallone is a national treasure. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I mean, have you listened to his albums, man? I'm sorry.
So he's a musician. I didn't know that.
Well, I wouldn't call him a musician in the same way I wouldn't call Eddie Murphy's musical career.
Horatius Cockle says, I'll save Mitch the trouble and ask everyone to smash that like button. I'm going to call it the recruitment button. Smash that recruitment button for Space Force and cluck that, ring that clucking bell for Red Rooster. Do that. Ro Kabir Kumar. I like this guy a lot. Schmuckers. Yeah, he'll laugh. He'll laugh about that. He says, oh man, I love this bunny. Yeah, I think we all love the bunny. Somebody says I have a square halo. That is correct. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Mitch is an avenging angel, scourging the landscape of comic book mediocrity with high-quality storytelling and customer service. Proof, the halo around his head, and concept art from Red Rooster and the Futurist. Thank you, Albino Thunder Buns.
I like the Thunder Buns.
Yeah, I bet they're a big fan of yours, Tim. Justin Kelly says, you're lucky enough to be together with your writer. That sounds a little creepy, but we are lucky to have Mark.
Well, Mark is sitting on my lap right now, so I don't know.
Ooh, bumpy here. Keep it PG, Tim.
I know.
This is a kids show. Trump's Space Force is Starship Troopers meets Aqua Teen Hunger Force. What do you have to say to that, Tim Lim?
100%. That is a great explanation. Bravo.
Yeah, I like these. You have something meets something, and that paints. I love that because you can tell, like, Joe on the street who doesn't know you from Adam or whatever. Give them 2 points of reference, and they can contrast it in their minds, and it either falls flat or it gets them excited or makes them laugh, and then they want to tell their friends about it. So for Red Rooster, it's Norman Rockwell meets H.P. Lovecraft. For the Futurists, it's Peter Pan meets Apocalypse Now. And so apparently for Trump's Space Force, it is, wait, I lost it. It's Starship Troopers meets Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Yeah, I like that. That's very cool.
Sold.
Or Starship Troopers meets C-Lab. That's another one too.
Oh, C-Lab. That might be even more appropriate.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so Starship Troopers meets C-Lab. I like that very much. So for creators who are trying, I think it's great advice. I think it's great advice for creators that are trying to put together projects and find people to work on their projects. Find those two things that you can, it's like mixing a cocktail, right? You get those two ingredients just right, boom. People want to take a drink of that. Rokabir Kumar says Mitch leads the Arkansas chapter of the Twilight Vampires.
I like that too. I don't know what the Twilight Vampires are, but yeah.
Is that why you're so sparkly, Mitch? You're sparkling right now.
Yeah, I sparkle. Yes, and Elizabeth never ages. So draw your own conclusions. I like to call it the Arkansas Comics Mafia.
I like that too. Wow, we got some great idea people early in the morning.
Yeah, we're gonna have like a street turf war with the Portland Comics Mafia, like West Side Story. Snap it.
Well, first we gotta take over the Austin turf. They go first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Austin Comics Mafia. Yeah, so we're gonna have this. It's gonna be like we're gonna set it to the tunes of West Side Story. Yeah, and I look silly snapping. I'm watching myself. Oh my gosh. Live Free says Chicken Hawk is good. But Chicken Hawk.
Oh, I love that too.
Chicken Hawk is taken. Chicken Hawk is
Darn.
taken. I'm pretty sure. And also, I don't want to go too. I don't want to go too deep on the chicken puns. Let's see. Justin Kelly says, I'm working on a Trump Queen video head replacement. Trump, aha, savior of the universe. He'll save every one of us. Twitter you guys when I'm done. So I don't know what that's about, but Justin Kelly is going to send this to you on Twitter.
Nice. Thank you very much, Justin.
Jim Halis says, this stuff is great. I wish my book would fit more into this genre. I've backed both of these books, though. Thank you, Jim. All right. Jim is backing projects. Ethan and I talked last night with Mike Miller because he launched a Lone Star. I had what I thought was a really great idea. So we're talking about doing trading cards and having them match. And I think Tim might take the lead on some of the design work on this, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
Yeah,
or did I just volunteer you?
I
said I would do it.
Well, I know that Ethan. So I messaged Ethan about that. I sent him a video actually showing off my card that Mark has seen. He's seen a ton of them, but I don't know if Ethan brought that up in the stream or not because I know he's busy, so he hasn't gone back to me. But yeah, I've been making my own for about 3 years now at every convention, so we have the means to do it. It's actually fairly easy, but I think uniformity would be nice. It would just kind of depend on what our branding would be and the design and stuff. I saw Ethan did post a couple of samples this morning, and they look great. So I think we would just have to decide on what it is. Plus, we would also have to see if it's an open template, like if other people want in on this that are friends of ours and who are active in our community. I think go for it. I think that'd be great. So I talked to Sean Campbell. He does the Ferryman. And if he's listening and he's like, "Oh, I want a Ferryman trading card," yeah, man. Like if we do a template, sure. I mean, go ahead. It's gonna be open, not proprietary. So,
well,
yeah,
this might screw up. That would kind of that wouldn't maybe exactly gel with my. Well, maybe it wouldn't, because my idea was for everyone that bought all the trading cards, right? So if you were the backer at the tier. The trading card tier, which I think should be a lower tier, right? I mean, I think we want to get this. This is a fun thing. So if you get the trading cards for every single project, then you should qualify for like a binder, right? With the trading card sleeves, and it'll have all the characters on the cover of it. So you can get a binder, or we can sell a binder. Maybe we could just sell it separately, right? With all the characters on the binder. And then you can collect all your trading cards and have this complete collection and show everybody that you have, you've been a all-star backer and believer in these projects. So anyway, that was my 2 in the morning idea last night.
Yeah, then they can consult with Wizard Magazine to see how much those cards are going to be worth someday. No.
You just call me. You just call me and I'll tell you.
Well, also the people who are listening right now, they're going to find this pretty fascinating. So. I've been doing work for Upper Deck for the last year, doing Marvel Masterpieces and their Fleer series of X-Men trading cards. And I'm thinking some of you are thinking what I was contemplating when I first got offered. I didn't know that trading cards were still around, frankly. And apparently what's happened is the trading card market has dwindled, but it's really powerful. So the collectors are very, very much into it. And so those trading cards actually go for a lot of money. I mean, if you can go on eBay right now and type in like Marvel 2018 sketch card series, and if you find a piece of original art in your trading card collection, they do go for quite a lot. And Mark knows this from doing conventions with me, but people love those trading cards. That's like the number one seller is whenever we do that, because people do exactly what you said. They buy a binder and they'll put trading cards, sketch cards, anything that fits into those little sleeves, they'll get it and put it in there. So I think the idea is fantastic personally.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to add a stretch goal for trading cards. It's probably going to be around 110,000. So I'm thinking about spacing my stretch goals out around 20,000 a piece. I gotta run some pricing models for these. Tim, we can talk about it over lunch.
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't know how much these cost and in what quantities. I would like for everyone to have the trading cards, especially kids. So I'm going to look at the pricing models and see what kind of tier I can add it to. But and I'll make an announcement very, very soon, because I think this is a really, really cool idea. I think these would be highly collectible. And I love the idea that there'd be an aftermarket for these and sort of a speculator market where people determine the value of these products and these cards and these collectibles.
You took that Wizard magazine joke seriously.
Oh no, I mean but you can't help it, right? You have eBay, so
exactly.
The market will determine a price for this. Like, and in a way, we don't really need Wizard magazine because we have eBay. So eBay kind of dictates, it's what people are paying for it. That's what it's worth, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So you don't need a price guide because you have eBay.
The other thing, too, that we might want to consider, and I think I mentioned this on the stream 2 nights ago, and it was lost in the shuffle, but doing a chase variant. So basically, it's like whenever you guys are doing your fulfillment, you will literally take like every 100th one that you package, not in the order, because then people will know based on the listing of backers, they'll know who will get it. So you randomize it, but you print maybe for every 100 cards, there's the one special card, whether it be like the golden Rooster card. So it's literally a gold foil trading card. They get 2. So they get the main one that most people are going to get, and then they get the special one. So it makes it even rarer. And those are really cool. I got one of those actually from I did work for Udon 3 years ago. It was the Capcom Fighting Tribute art book, and they mailed those books to us, but they said, hey, if you're lucky, you're going to get one of the gold cards on the inside. And sure enough, I got one. I got a gold Dark Ryu card, and that thing is amazing. It looks so cool. I didn't even frame it. I basically just kept it on the inside of the book, and I don't want to say I taped it, but I put a very low adhesive on the edges because I didn't want that thing to leave. It just looks really good.
Cool. Well, I like that idea a lot. But I'm wondering if the gold card should be like a part of the higher tier, right? So when we hit right, you know what I mean? So that they are technically rarer, and then they would have a significant value to work for collectors, right? So rather than it just being random, it just being. But anyway, this is boring the audience. So we'll talk about it over lunch. Let's talk about this over lunch. I think that's a wonderful idea. And if it's a collectible product, then it'll make people happy, add some value. They can lock it up in a safe, and pull it out with white gloves and a magnifying glass and admire it once a year. And then in 10 years, they can cash it in and pay for their kids' college.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to scroll through some more chats. But before I do that, let me check in on our crowdfunding initiatives here. Let me refresh this page. Trump's Space Force. Trump's Space Force is at $21,801. So I think you guys have raised a little bit more capital for your book since we started our conversation. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think we started this morning at around like 21,275, at least before I logged in. So thank you. Yeah, we grew by quite a bit.
Awesome. Oh, that is fantastic. I mean, this channel is growing. This channel's growing pretty quickly, and I'm learning to be a better host. It takes a little bit, but you got to dive right in. So if you're nervous about getting on YouTube and chatting with thousands of your best friends and beautiful, wonderful, loyal customers, don't be. Everybody's been very, very nice, and the very, very few who haven't been, you can just ignore. So Red Rooster Golden Age. I've seen a few. My phone's been blowing up since we've been starting this chat. It is now at 82,000. $873. Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you all
boy.
very, very much. Yeah, that's 552% funded. Elizabeth, if she wasn't asleep, she would be dancing. So thank you all very, very much. You're all very beautiful and wonderful people. Okay, let's I know people are asking me about super chats. Mitch, you need super chats, bro, says Aaron. Yes. So what it takes, the deal is you have to have 1,000 subscribers, which we've crossed a while ago. But you have to have 4,000 viewing hours, which we crossed a few days ago at least. So it says I'm under review, and so that should be coming very, very soon. I hope. Hopefully they don't mess around with me. I'm not out here saying anything controversial. I'm just trying to engage the audience in a very positive way. So Momar Things asks, how is a red rooster elected or chosen? So a red rooster is a mantle. It's a code, it's a honor code in a way, and a mantle that's passed from generation to generation, and you are chosen. It's not by elective. There is this thing called the Order of the Dawn, which is would include allies and friends of the red rooster. But the red rooster, it's the red rooster, the one who's been trained and mentored. It's his responsibility to choose his successor, and then train or mentor him or her. That's always possible, to carry on the torch of fighting mankind's most notorious, ancient, and malevolent foes. And you will find out more about those in Red Rooster Golden Age, and even more beyond that. How dark and deep and old and ancient are these creeps. Mark Pellegrini knows all. So
yes,
I
so,
have a question. I have a question.
Well,
okay.
real quick, Red Rooster is actually training Rascal to be the next Red Rooster.
Yeah, did you hear a cat? Yeah, I'm training my cat Hamburger to be the next Red Rooster. He wants to do my lap. So
the next last comic book artist.
Yeah.
Oh,
there he is. He wants in my
Aw.
lap. Okay, so you guys are gonna have to deal with a cat in my lap, but at least he won't bark at you. Okay, Tim, you had a question?
So I don't know if you guys want to answer this or not, but in the story, what does it transpire, or what happens if a red rooster dies in battle and did not pick a successor? Is that something that you have thought about? I don't know if that's something in the script or if that's something in your universe that you've looked at.
I can tell you this. I can tell you that Frank Cooper, our current Red Rooster, the guy we're telling, he's the Red Rooster story we're telling.
Right.
In the early 1930s. Frank Cooper was trained on the battlefield of World War I by a Red Rooster who's a pilot, right? And he's sort of a dashing Errol Flynn type with a red scarf and a rooster painted on the side of his biplane. But he doesn't actually dress like a chicken. That's Frank Cooper's doing. He took it maybe a little literally. So it was like an ad hoc training. In kind of the same way that like Luke was trained by Obi-Wan and Yoda, but it was all cut short in some way. So Frank Cooper he's not armed with a complete set of knowledge. You know what I mean? Right. And so in that way, you do kind of get half of what you said, right? So and there also have, like, I've charted a history for the Red Rooster, and it's not super tight yet, but I do know how it came from Europe to America, and there was a period of about 200 years where it was basically lost to Western civilization, only to be rediscovered. I've talked about it publicly before, but I think I'm going to start keeping this scene a secret because if I do I want to do a book called Red Rooster Legacy that starts with the Templar Knights, but it actually shows a little bit more about how old it actually is. And I've actually found where it actually begins. I know where it begins, and I'm not going to spoil it. And I also know how it came to America through the Templars. And then I know the closing sequence of the book I want to do called Red Rooster Legacy. And we'll see. I probably won't be able to draw that. I'll probably have to hire an artist for this. So if you guys are enthusiastic about this Red Rooster history stuff, and your history buffs and your adventure buffs, and you like what we're doing with Red Rooster, we'll eventually get to this. I think it'll be a absolutely fun story to tell, full of action and historical moments of historical consequence tied into the Red Rooster legacy. So that is that's the long answer to your short question, Tim.
That works.
Go ahead.
So I have another question.
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking previously about how, in terms of Trump Space Force, obviously it is not only crowd-funded but crowd-influenced because we have that leeway. Has there, in the last few weeks, has there been any instance where you and Mark got a fan suggestion where you thought, oh my gosh, yes, this is something that we need to put in because it is going to alter kind of the trajectory of where we're going? Not necessarily the overall story, which I know you guys have tightly scripted, but something that you thought that is crucial, and I'm glad someone pointed out, yes, that is something we need to put in there.
Not necessarily specifically because this was so tightly plotted, but I think we've recalibrated a bit based on like I'm sort of testing stuff as I throw art out there and ideas and chats and stuff like that, and gauging people's responses. And I've done this for a few years now, a couple of years really consciously. When I meet a stranger on the street or meet somebody for the first time, I'll start telling them who I am and I start pitching stuff. And they think they either get really engaged or think I'm nuts, but I'm trying to gauge their body language and then recalibrate my pitches, my story craft, all this stuff, right? So I'm taking all this data and it's going into my mushy head brain, my head computer, and I'm readjusting and fine-tuning all of my products that I intend to serve you, the beautiful and wonderful customer, with. So I don't think there's anything really specific. This golden chick character has resonated with the audience in a really major way, and I love her very, very much. So we're going to start trying to chart a more prominent role for her in the Red Rooster series, and she'll definitely be a big player if we do a retelling of Red Rooster as a cartoon show or something like that. Mark, can you think of any specific instance?
Well, I know that that one individual on Twitter came up with the phrase "cockadoodle do-gooder."
Yeah,
like Mark put that in the script. I don't care where.
Yeah, I did like that. Cockadoodle, that was Larry King. Larry King came up with the phrase cockadoodle do-gooder. And so we've worked that into the script in a funny spot, I think. So at least Larry will get a chuckle out of it.
If Larry is listening, every time I hear his name, I can't help but think of the host.
That's
Larry
funny.
King.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
You should be sure to tell that to people, by the way. So if people ask you on the street or people who recognize you or want to hear more about the Red Rooster, you can say, yeah, we've had some input from Larry King. And they're like, the Larry King? And you're like, the Larry King.
Yeah, the real Larry King.
The real Larry King.
So Scott Stewart asked an important question. Is the Red Rooster watercolor a head sketch or a full body drawing? The answer to that, Scott, is it is not a head sketch. It is going to be kind of either a torso down to the knees or thighs. It could possibly feature, a full body in certain things, but I'm limited by the A4 size of the paper for one, or the smaller size of the paper, and doing a full body. Basically what I'm going to do is try to give you 45 minutes to an hour of my time. You're buying my time with that purchase. And I can do a head sketch watercolor head sketch in about 15 to 20 minutes. So what you're getting is, 45 minutes to an hour of my day in the mornings or whatever, and you will get something more robust than a watercolor head sketch. So you will get a nice drawing. I will try to do some of these drawings as examples in the coming days. So, because I really, I think that's a great package. I call that the collector's tier. You get, I forget exactly what you get, but the primo thing that you get is the Red Rooster watercolor, inked and watercolor drawing. Again, that's about an hour of my time, give or take. And it will be in beautiful watercolor and colored inks and on luxurious Mont Blanc paper made in Europe. It's a wonderful paper, archival. Everything will be very high quality. So I think it's a great tier, and you'll have something you can frame and hang and remember this moment in comic book history. So hope that answers your question, Scott. Thank you very much. Feel Cool just wants to say hello. So say hello.
Hello.
All right. All right, here's D. Mason says, could Jawbreakers be G.I. Joe meets Suicide Squad? That sounds kind of awesome, actually. Yeah, it could be. You'll have to ask Richard Meyer. Outpatient says, Mitch is Michael J. Fox. Everybody's trying to think who they're trying to cast me. Mitch is Michael J. Fox if he'd had a growth spurt and his voice changed.
Bill Pullman.
Yeah, and somebody else said George McFly meets Jim Morrison. I'll take it. I'll take it. March Harris says you should throw in sketch cards randomly to different backers. That's what March Hare thinks.
I like March Hare.
Yeah, of course you do. Okay. Albino Thunderbuns says Justin Kelly was talking about making a Trump Queen mashup theme song for Space Force using Queen's Flash Gordon theme song. So that's what he was talking about. So
that's awesome.
Expect that on Twitter soon by Justin Kelly. Hey, Mitch, about 10 years ago, you gave me a brutal portfolio review. Oh, my gosh. Hey, I am nothing if not honest.
Well, now he's back for revenge, and you got to pay.
Yeah. Now he's back for revenge. He says, I wanted to thank you.
Oh.
Too many people want to be nice. As pissed as I might have been at the time, it helped my art get better. So brief vignette. I will give you an honest portfolio review. Some people walk away unhappy. My experience in college, I had a great professor named Paul Pitt. Very, very briefly. He was my favorite teacher of all time. He was a ceramics, anatomy, and drawing professor, and also sculpture. I had all those classes. I took as many classes with him as I could. And the reason being is he was always honest. He was always hard. He would stack every project we turned in. He'd stack them from best to worst. And then have the whole class critique each other, and you had to say one good thing and one bad thing at least. Sometimes students would have to leave the class crying because they just weren't prepared for this. I loved this because I paid for college on my own. I took out a student loan and paid it all back. I was purchasing in a very expensive service, and I wanted to become a very good comic book artist. So this was extremely valuable. It's one of, I'm going to get a little choked up. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And anybody that respected that professor was my friend. And I met Elizabeth. So this is why I'm going to get choked up about it. So I met Elizabeth. I bought my first computer with my first paycheck from Marvel Comic Books. I bought an iMac. And then this is like 2005. I couldn't afford a computer before then. So I signed up for MySpace. There was no Facebook back then. This is the dark ages of the internet, folks. And I started looking up old. I was out of college for 5 years, so I started looking up people from college and professors and all this kind of stuff. And then I started just kind of seeing alumni, my friends, seeing where they're at. Then I started, kind of browsing through the current students of the art department, and I stumbled upon this very gorgeous and hilarious profile of this woman named Elizabeth, and she had as her quote on MySpace a quote. I can't remember what it said. Now she'd have to remember, but it was one of Paul Pitt's quotes, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is like the perfect woman. She's gorgeous and vibrant and youthful." And an artist, and this is a quote from my favorite professor. So she must be the one for me. So I wrote her, and she wrote me back. And I was in New York, I was getting ready to leave, and she was in Arkansas, and I was going to come back to Arkansas in a few months. I was saving up to buy a car, didn't have a car. I didn't have a car or a computer. So I bought my first computer, and now I'm saving up to buy a car. We talked almost every day for about 3 or 4 months, and the rest is history. And so now she is married to me for over 10 years now, and she colors Batman and Killer Bee Killer and many other things. So there you go. There's a story for everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed it. So Mark C., thank you very much. I'm glad that brutal portfolio review was very helpful for you. So do not come to me if you are thin-skinned. I don't want to make anybody upset. I really don't. I want to make you better. And you guys have anything to add to that?
Not me.
Okay. All right.
Well, add to your story of how you met Elizabeth. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, so I'll tell a story.
How about portfolio
I'll
reviews?
I'll keep it very, very quick because people might be sick of hearing me tell the story. And then I'm going to make Mitch choked up again. But so I was in 2011. This was before Mark had even moved down here to Little Rock, but I was in graduate school for getting my audiology degree. So I wasn't doing anything art related. And the first time I met Mitch and Betty was at a talk they gave at our university. And I tell this story to Mitch because it's funny. I think he told students something that they did not want to hear, which is it was tough. It was very, very hard to get into Marvel. They wanted to hear the story of, yeah, if you believe in yourself, you can do it. Oh, really? Was it hard? Well, with a little bit of gumption, you can do it too. And it was a very sobering take where it was like, no, I had to travel. I had to pay my way. I was going from editor to editor with my portfolio. I was doing things in with the copy room that I had to do to get my foot in the door, that type of thing. And a lot of people were like, "Oh man, that sounds harrowing." Well, Mitch, I brought a piece of art that he did for Captain America that I printed on 8.5 by 11 paper. That was the first signature I ever got signed. And for me, it was this idea of, well, if you are think of back in 2011. This is still at a time when we had the internet, obviously, but things were still not done as remotely as we do them today. But it was still this idea that a guy from Arkansas can go on and accomplish things. At that time, I hadn't even really started working in merchandising. I was still doing student stuff. So here we are, 8 years later, and here we are just on a Saturday morning, just talking, and it's kind of bizarre. I've had to get used to it. And obviously Mark, since then, he's moved down here, and he met Mitch through me. And it's just interesting how you get to know some people over a period of time. And if you just put yourself to the grindstone, you can accomplish something, but it does take hard work. That's the part that is difficult. It takes hard work, takes criticism, takes mistakes and learning from them. But that's the best thing that you can do. Don't give up is the thing. It's pretty easy to do that. And trust me, there have been times when I think I did give up. But overall, I think trying to build your success on your failures is one great way of learning. That's just life experience.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I tell the story frankly, and I tell my story honestly, and I do that to ward off people that aren't going to dig deep and commit all the way. If you commit halfway and spend 3 years doing something, and then you're just going to quit, like you don't have the go it all the way, find something else, right? But if you have the go it all the way gene, and you're willing to dig deep and make it happen, and you have the talent and the drive, then I'm telling you it's possible, right? So I've got nothing. I don't want to be mean to anybody. I'm just trying to be frank and tell you the world as I see it, the journey as I walked it, and hopefully turn you all into better creators, artists, writers, and talents in whatever field you have chosen.
And
So go ahead.
I'll tell something else that's really interesting. So this goes to Mark. Well, one of the most interesting things that Facebook has to offer is I actually like their I forgot what they call it, but it's where they show you something from the past. Like, hey, do you remember that this happened 5 years ago?
Yeah, memories. Yeah, those
Yeah,
things are
memories.
annoying.
I actually like those because you want to look at them, and yeah, there's some parts that are really sad. Like if you see something from,
Remember
let's
when
say,
your dog was alive and you loved
right,
your dog? That was
exactly. Like that type of stuff is kind of bittersweet. But Mark and I were talking about this not too long ago. So the way Mark and I met was we were working for the same companies. We were doing blogging together for movie review sites, and so that's essentially how we were acquainted with each other. Well, I think it was actually at the same time, around 2011. I was up in DC, and Mark was from there, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to be up there, but if you want to get together, we can meet up." So he said, "Sure." We met up. Well, one of the interesting things about that was we had lunch at this really crappy place. It was in the old post office, just a few blocks from the White House, and it was so sketchy. You had to go through a metal detector to go into it, and it was basically like a dungeon crypt where they had these kind of decrepit, whatchamacallit, shops that looked like they were run as fronts for like money laundering and drug operations and stuff. And we always laughed about that because we said, "Oh man, like do you remember that we ate there and there were people like basically panhandling the whole time we were eating there?"
Yeah, there
Well,
was like a
Flash,
food. Yeah, there's a food court in there, and they had like a stage, and like the local like middle school was trying to do a step routine on the stage, but they it's just terrible.
that was in 2011, 2010, 2011, somewhere around then. Flash forward to 2016 or 2017, and we're at the inauguration of Trump, and we have a book about to come out about Trump in rabbit form. And we passed by the old post office, which is now Trump International. And I told Mark, I said, "Good Lord, I mean, if I went back in time." Uh, to us eating there, and I was like, "Hey guys, like I'm Tim from the future. I'm here to tell you that in 6 years, like you're going to be writing about President Trump, and you're like where you're eating right now, it's not even going to exist anymore. It's going to be Trump International." I'd look at you like you're crazy. So it is interesting to kind of go back to where you were and you ask yourself like, have things gotten better? Are you in a position now that you didn't foresee yourself being in years later? I mean, we'll probably look back in 2025 and maybe dig up this old conversation and we'll see how things have changed. But that's always heartening. I like it. I like being able to look back and see how far you've progressed. Hello.
One of us is gonna have to talk. Yeah.
I think Mitch is just dumbfounded. He was like,
No,
"What?"
he's sitting there petting that cat in his lap. That's all.
Oh, I think his mic is off. It says
Uh,
that his mic is off.
oh yeah, his
I'm
mic.
muted. I'm muted. Okay, I got it worked out here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Very, very good. So yeah, I like that story. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm going to read through a few more chats and just try to make sure everybody gets called out that had something fun to say. Justin Ward says Red Rooster villain should be KFC, the Ku Flux Klan. Very funny. So yeah, we do have in the regular series there is a secret society of dum-dums, I guess. That we don't really talk about the Ku Klux Klan because that's too politically charged, and but that doesn't mean there isn't like some secret society of nimwits and ne'er-do-wells. Okay, if you, Ethan, Tim, and Mike all had trading cards, you could use your combined business to leverage a card publishing company. Hey, that's an interesting idea. Thank you, Horatius Cockles.
I can hear a pterodactyl in the background.
I know. I might have to go deal with that. I'm really sorry. I don't know. I have fed him, but I'm not sure. He actually was beating up hamburger just a minute ago. That's why I had to leave.
Oh.
Kraken of the Sea says, "Rest in peace, Wizard." Yeah, rest in peace. It's not coming back. We have YouTube and we have eBay. All our bases are covered. So I've already backed just about everything on Indiegogo, says Jay Cephas. You rock, brother. Somebody's playing some music. All right. A Red Rooster card that you can send in to get the lapel pin and be inducted into the Order of Dawn. Feel Cool wants to be inducted into the Order of Dawn. Maybe I'll just have to do something special for him. yeah, they have Luxus says you'll have me exciting for trading cards again. That's wonderful. Somebody's asking, did I get my channel reviewed already? It's being reviewed right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta deal with this cat. I have to deal. This is too much. People think I have a brood of baby pterodactyls. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys just chat for a second, and I got to put this cat away somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Mark,
gentle.
I don't have the chats pulled up, so if you're reading through them, you can see
Well, let's
if there's
see
any questions or anything.
the secret cessity of numbnuts. I don't know if we want to talk about that. Well, let's talk about Mitch's cat, because that's what everybody cares about right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you see that video of Chumley in a chicken costume?
I did. I loved it. I think when it was on the stream, I think I went away for a while because I was like going into a diabetic coma. It was so cute.
Chumley's such a weird cat. He's ugly cute. Like, he's got this weird squished up, like he got hit in the face with a frying pan, flattened face, but for some reason he's so adorable.
Well, it's like pugs, you know. Pugs kind of have that same
like,
feature.
Their eyes go in opposite directions. They look too inbred.
All right, I'm back. Critias says, congratulations to Red Rooster and Trump's Space Force. Thank you very much. Open another shirt button for your subs, you sexy beast. Oh man, all my shirt buttons are open, and I didn't even mean for that to happen. I actually look a little tacky. I'm gonna button one up. Because sometimes showing less is more.
Then that person refunds. Like, I asked him one button less.
When it hits 83K, you got to unbutton all of them.
Pterodactyl says, I look sleepy. Yeah, I did only sleep about 6 hours. I've been, yeah, my eyes are looking pretty rough. It's been crazy busy. Yeah, and this lighting is really bad. But yeah, thanks for telling me that. I need to take better care of myself. Sometimes critiques are tough to take. Somebody else said I look sleepy. Okay. Hey, Mitch, I was just catching up on the live stream from you, Ethan, Mike. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, back Lone Star. Mike Miller's Lone Star is up right now. Mitch, when a woman is chosen, is she called the red hen? That's a good point. That's a good point. What cat breed is that? So I have two cats. One is Persian, full Persian. The other one is called an exotic cat, which is a mix between a Persian and a British blue hair or short hair. British blue hair, I think, is what they're called. That's Chumley, the famous one. Okay. Evil. The cat breed is a Dr. Evil. So yeah, if you want to see Chumley making his big comic book debut, you need to buy Black Hops. You should buy issues 1 and 2 of Black Hops by Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, who are with us here in the chat today. Chumley plays a villain. I think. Did I spoil something?
No, you didn't. So if you have bought Black Ops and saw Chumley in there, he has a very, very small role. But spoiler alert, in issue 2, he has a very big role, and that's all we can say about it.
Okay. Red Roosters are like the Outpatient says. Red Roosters are like masters of Sinanju. If you're familiar with Remo Williams from the Destroyer novels, there's even a rival who is a renegade apprentice of Remo's master. Ooh. Okay, so if you like that dynamic, stay tuned, because that might be a part of the plot, or at least a subplot of our after this Indiegogo special, but of the regular series later on. So, yeah, that might have something to do with the Red Rooster in forthcoming books. Pete Mack says, like Highlander? Yeah, a little bit like Highlander. There can only be one. Super Ant says he loves the Order of the Dawn Legacy. Thank you very much. But what about trebuchets on Trump's Space Force spaceships? That's what people really want to know.
Uh,
Will trebuchets work in space? We know we can. I think Ethan has NASA scientists working on actually getting projectiles into space, but do they work when they're already mounted on spaceships? I guess we'll find out.
yeah, I think I'll tell Chuck. I think we need to put a trebuchet on the USS James Marshall.
Jay Cephas says he's sketching out a Roman red rooster, possibly in a Colosseum fight. She has red hair. Ooh, that's interesting. I want to see that. If you haven't, Horatius Cockles, if you haven't backed Red Rooster or Space Force, why not pledge now? Red Rooster is less than 8K away from its 90K stretch goal, and Space Force is less than 4K away from its first stretch goal.
That's right.
Hopefully I delivered that in appropriate telethon enthusiasm.
Yeah, tell us all, Mitch. Is there going to be any stretch goals after we hit 90K?
Well, I mean, the trading card thing.
The trading card thing.
That's going to be my next one.
What's the dollar value on that?
I don't know. I've got to work out the metrics, so I've got to sit down and run some numbers on trading card costs. So I'll announce it next week.
Okay.
So it'll probably be like 110, but maybe it just depends. I need to start really looking at costs and profitability and all this kind of stuff. Red Rooster's chicken is terrible, mate. So the book is far superior. So Horatius Cockles must be from Australia, where they have a Red Rooster's chicken chain of restaurants, and he says they suck. Our chicken in Arkansas, we have some great chicken restaurants here.
Heck yeah, we do. You can ask Mark. He's from DC.
Oh yeah, we got Slim's Chicken. We got Gus's Fried Chicken. Yeah, but up in Virginia, we've got Roy Rogers, and they're mostly known for their roast beef sandwiches, but their fried chicken is the only one that can compete with any of the other ones out there. KFC, Popeyes, all of them. God, I love.
So what people may not know is that Arkansas is a major chicken exporter. So it is chicken country here. Tyson Foods is here, and other companies associated with that. They're a major Arkansas industry is the poultry industry. Oftentimes, when you're driving by these places, they smell foul. Pun intended. Okay, so we do have great chicken here, including really great organically grown chicken and all that kind of stuff. So you can get some great chicken in great restaurants here. All right, scrolling down. Oh, it scrolled all the way to the bottom. Space trebuchets. I think that was a hit with Raphael Rice.
Hey, if we have room in it and I'm joining the panel, I'll put a space trebuchet in there. That would kind of be funny to see. Inatus guy says I'm sporting the 70s look. Not anymore. I have buttoned my shirt up and I look appropriately business friendly. So Doppelgamer says, thanks, Mitch. I was getting too hot looking at you for a moment. I'm gonna button another one up. I don't want anybody sweating it out over there. Fabio time. I just had this idea. Now, you guys might have addressed it, or I don't know if you were trying to play coy when that question was asked about the red hen. But I just thought about something. What if there's actually two paths of lineage for whatever crime fighting or evil fighting society there is? It's kind of like how for Catholics and for the Orthodox churches, you have nuns and you have priests. Mm-hmm. There's a matriarchal line and a patriarchal line. What if there's a whole other society of red hens that basically are just, they're the mirror image of them as well? I like that idea, but I mean, like I said, it's your thing. So
I like it too, Tim. Let me think. I'm going to dwell on that. Mark, I do like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, we've only sketched out the first 12 issues of the ongoing, so there's a whole long road ahead of us to introduce ideas like that and to expand the mythology.
Yeah, and so it goes. So I've dated it back kind of to the Templars,
right?
But I believe it goes much. Actually, I have this idea. I know where it begins now. I know where it begins, and I'm not going to spoil that. But it's very, very, very possible that, in the maybe the end of the Roman Empire or something, so through trade or whatever, a splinter group occurs like along the Silk Road, and it's exported back to China or the Far East, right? And the Red Rooster legacy in Credo exists in Asia and perhaps Japan or Taiwan or something like that, right? And so a world away, there is someone fighting under the banner of the Red Rooster and the same set of core values and principles and whatnot. So I think that's an extremely possible scenario as well. So really, like, the world we're creating here is it could be quite vast. So like, we're only limited by our imaginations, I think, and and of course the rules of the world and that we've built. But I'm excited about the possibilities. That's for sure. And everybody else is too, I think, because they're sending me all this very, very, very cool fan art for Red Rooster in all kinds of themes and costumes and nationalities and stuff. James Dean Company says the industry has been fractured for a while. I'm honestly just glad to see a positive outcome with artists taking back their own power from the corporate cloud of greed and politics. Thank you, James Dean. That's very well said. Very poignant.
I think there's been no time in my, at least in my adult life, where I've been excited about independent comics. I think you've mentioned it before, and I kind of co-opted your idea, but you've said repeatedly, we are not making independent books. We're making mainstream books. In other words, it's this idea that the tables have kind of turned. When we were kids growing up, the independent books were the ones edgy. They were the ones that you didn't show mom and dad. They're the ones that made you kind of a rebel or a bad boy. Now what we're doing is we're going forward, and because we have this moral vacuum that's not being filled with our legacy characters, at least in the comics. We're the ones stepping forward and hopefully creating characters that are, one, entertaining, and two, have lasting potential. Obviously, with something like Trump Space Force, it has a shelf life in the sense that it's something more contemporary. But I do feel like maybe 10 years down the line, a historian will look back and say, well, we want to see what the MAGA coalition was like. And they'll be able to look at that as kind of a time capsule of a time and place. And obviously what you and Mark are doing with Red Rooster and what Ethan and Richard are doing with Cyberfrog and Jawbreakers, these are books that are meant to be entertaining and last a long time, and books that people were legitimately excited about. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
Yes, we are mainstream comics. Wonderful. Let's see here. Arik Hutflis says women are never chosen. I think he's talking about the Red Rooster legacy. Well, I guess maybe perhaps just as in real life, the women do have the choice, right? I mean, we ask, typically, we ask them for dates and they say yes or no. So yeah, maybe. The Outpatient says, this isn't just blowing smoke, but everything about Red Rooster is appealing. But okay, yeah, well, I love that. Thank you very, very much. Put a lot of passion into this. I think everything about Trump's Space Force sounds appealing too. So Kraken of the Sea says railgun trebuchet. I'm not sure how that works, but it sounds really cool.
We do have railguns, so it might not be too much of a stretch.
Awesome. Let's see. Milkman 1673 says Cyberfrog, Jawbreakers, Ironsides, Jungle Comics, Ravage, Jack Irons, and Red Rooster together have made over 990,000. If you add Trump's Space Force, you guys are over 1,010,000 US dollars. That's a market, gentlemen. That is a market. Congratulations. Okay, I already read that. It keeps zipping to the bottom, and I have to.
Yeah, I hate it. It does that on my PC too.
Oh, okay. Bethany Fryrick says, "Now I want chicken. Nearest place is 49 miles away." Golly, where do you live? Like you live on an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Gee whiz. Chicken for me is like 30 seconds away at any given moment in Arkansas. I just walk out back and grab it by the neck, swing it around, pop, get the butcher knife and fry it up. I'm just kidding. But that is how my wife grew up. Let's see.
I think most people who haven't, if you've never been to the South, you'll be very surprised. Maybe Mark can talk about this, but Mark, were you surprised because you came from a pretty metropolitan area near DC?
Mhm.
What was the experience like when you moved down here? Were you surprised at the number of restaurants that we have per square mile?
I was and I wasn't, because I hear that the South has more obesity than the North. I'm not so sure about that. There was a lot of fat people around DC where I came
There's
from.
fat people everywhere.
Exactly. But I mean, when I came down here, just the proximity of restaurants, I wasn't complaining, because I love to eat just like everybody else. And so there's so much more variety down here of food, at least in Little Rock compared to around DC. Now, what I like more about Little Rock than I like living in DC my whole life is that there's more there's more topographical differences. You've got great scenery. You've got mountains. You don't have to go very far. You hit the rivers and the lakes. You can go camping. There's traffic's not so bad. You've got the downtown area. If you want to do something that feels like you're in a big city, you can go out a little bit further, and then you hit nothing. It's I don't know. It's much more fun down here than it is up in Northern Virginia.
Yeah. And I noticed, especially around Little Rock, the waistlines are dropping quite a bit as more people are generally getting off of things like high fructose corn syrup and we had some really extremely poor governmental diet advice, and it made everyone in the country unhealthy and fat and struggle with weight issues. So as people become more enlightened and educated across the country through internet memes and memes, I've noticed more and more people are losing weight. Yeah, cutting back on sugar, eating less corn syrup,
drink less soda. I mean, if you cut soda out of your diet to just one can a day, you'll start dropping pounds immediately.
Yeah. All right. Connor O'Halloran, a wonderful Irish name there. I really like the idea of Red Rooster. Retro stuff is in my wheelhouse. Perhaps because The Rocketeer was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Great film, great book. Love The Rocketeer. So that's one of the reasons I think this resonates, is I like The Rocketeer quite a bit too, and no one is doing it. They're making a remake of Rocketeer, and that's cool and all, but this books that spark that tone of nostalgia and Americana, and I think are attempting to service the customers that desire those things and feel nostalgic towards those things, are often overlooked in mainstream we're mainstream comics. They're often overlooked in legacy comic books. How about that? Legacy comic book companies. So what we're going to do is produce mainstream comics for that underserved and often ignored audience that we believe is extremely large, a very vast and big and broad audience just waiting to be entertained with books like The Red Rooster and Trump Space Force, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so their legacy, we're mainstream.
Oh, and not just that, but for people who are listening who are maybe not into politics, and that's great, that's why Mark and I did Black Ops. Black Ops is not a political book. It does tackle a current issue that dealing with North Korea, but it's not really done through a political lens. It's just the landscape of where the action needs to be set, kind of like how in Rambo First Blood, First Blood Part 2, he was in Vietnam, and it was not really an overtly political action movie. It's just the setting of it. So if you're looking for a good adventure story, we're very happy with the feedback we've received on Black Ops. It's overwhelmingly positive. So thank you guys so much for going out to stores and picking it up. Number One Marmaduke Fan actually has probably the most succinct review of it that's out there right now. So if you're looking for something that is very much a kind of a bare knuckle patriotic book, and if you read G.I. Joe or Captain America and find the two severely lacking in terms of that, I would encourage you to pick up Black Ops. Mark and I will appreciate it. And I know Mitch has actually read the first issue and he knows what's coming. So I think that he can vouch for us too.
Do it. Yeah. Sketch therapy. Does Red Rooster come from Arkansas? Red Rooster is from Big Town, which sits alongside the Little River, which are two fictional town and a fictional geographic or fictional river. So although it is inspired by my experiences growing up here in Arkansas and living here currently, and my wife's as well, and but the idea is I want you to project what your idea of your town may be, or your main street may be, and the people you grew up around might have been. So it's purposefully not set anywhere. And we don't name the state. It's like Springfield in that regard. We want you to just project your ideas onto our world, essentially. But it does feature, like as Mark said, Arkansas has mountains, swamps, plains, the Delta, cities, towns, main streets all over. I mean, it's demographically and topographically very diverse, and all those things come into play in the Red Rooster. Let's see.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like a reverse Sin City. You know how like in Frank Miller's Sin City, it's even though it's called that, and that's the term used colloquially to refer to Las Vegas, Sin City is its own fictional metropolitan area in a fictional state that I don't even think is mentioned. But what I've always liked about the Frank Miller Sin City books is that the way that it's drawn and the way it's described, you can project any type of sleazy environment that you've ever been in. There's times when I read Sin City and I don't think of Vegas. I think of like New Orleans. I think of Bourbon Street and how Bourbon Street smells perpetually of sewage. There's times when I think of maybe poor cities in Arkansas that are ridden with crime. And that's kind of what I think is the ongoing appeal of it. So
yeah, he certainly must have done that on purpose. Sin City is exactly what it sounds like. It's the first elements of every city in America, basically tessellated into one horrible like hellhole.
Yeah, and for you guys, it's kind of a funny juxtaposition. You have this setting in a state that's not mentioned, but it can be both Midwest and South at the same time, and you have a name like Big Town, which is you are almost fluctuating in size depending on necessity. Is it a big city, or is it a small, almost like a small municipality? It just kind of depends on how you write it and how you decide to depict it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So JK says the rooster is an ancient messianic symbol. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. Okay. If you have more information, send me a DM on Twitter. Somebody else asked about if Red Rooster's in Arkansas. We just answered that. Someone mentions the Asian Red Rooster with Chinese zodiac villains. That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Oh, did somebody mention that should be called Peking chicken?
I didn't see that one, but I'm sure one of these jokers in the chat did say that.
Yeah.
It sounds like the kind of stuff this rabble would.
The main bad guy can be General So.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Oh. Can I get on Diamond though? I think he's asking if we can get these books through Diamond. I think eventually the idea is that these books could be available everywhere. At least what I want Red Rooster to be. I want people to be able to buy it in stores at some point. How about you guys?
Absolutely. The bigger the market, the better.
Okay, yeah, we want to sell books. That's the goal here, and make people happy. You, the customer. The outpatient says, "I'm glad you guys are able to go forward owning your own properties. In the past, you would have lost your ideas to the corporate machine." That's right. This is what it's all about: is creating, owning, and making the customers happy. Building this relationship with you, the beautiful and wonderful audience. Lux Max Nike says the books are meant to be evergreen. Yeah, I think I like that term, evergreen. Absolutely. Every current year needs its satire. We are taking satire back from the left.
Yeah.
They're definitely not doing a very good job of it.
Well, you know that the old meme, the left can't meme. That is one thing that I think Mark can be proud of with My Hero Macadamia and with Thump. I feel like we created an honest work that it doesn't really matter how you voted. If you have a sense of humor, you should be able to read them and think that they're funny. I mean, it's incredible because there's these late night comedians like Stephen Colbert who I'm sure are capable of humor, but when your nightly routine is just throwing pejoratives and ad hominem attacks, at some point that's not even comedy. That doesn't really take much cleverness to come up with. And if you want a good look at it, look at how Saturday Night Live from the 80s and 90s, how they treated their political humor. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live as a young teenager up through high school and undergrad. And honestly, I didn't even know any of their politics. And that was through 3 administrations. I just thought that, hey, these people are funny. Doesn't matter which way you go politically. The jokes are legitimately well crafted. So yeah, I think there's a place for satire. Mark does a great job of writing it. Chuck did a very good job too in his primary script. So we hope that we can give you guys a good laugh.
FP Sunny says we need strong female leads, all caps. I think so. I think a good balance of things is warranted. Balance. Let's restore balance to the force. Right? Let's make, you know what I mean? The force is neither male nor female. Let's be balanced.
For everyone.
Yeah, force is for everyone.
As long as they have enough midichlorians in their blood.
Very funny. Arik Huffles says, just to note, I was being silly when I said women are never chosen. Of course. Yeah, we know you're joking. But, joking on the internet can sometimes get you in trouble these days. Arik, I don't know if it's a he or a she. Arik says, back then, the indie books were the ones that were boring and full of weirdo politics and had broken amateurish writing. Well, I'm just going to let that comment hang out there. Like I said, we're mainstream comics. That's what I'm shooting for. My wife colors Batman, Kill or Be Killed. She's doing a book with Steve Epting right now, and obviously Red Rooster. Mark is going to be the Mark Twain of comics. So there's some big things ahead. Just stay tuned. I'm swinging for the fences personally. All right. The question with Trump comics is, one, will left-leaning people buy it? Sure, why not? I mean, I'll answer these first, Tim, and then you can take a swing at it. I say, why not? Trump Space Force looks hilarious. And 2, how long will the excitement last? Well, yeah, I think Tim already addressed that. He says things so would have a shelf life. So, Tim, you want to answer those 2 questions in your own words?
I think Mark and I were surprised because when we did My Hero Macadamia, so for Thump, we definitely were aiming for the MAGA coalition. I've told the story before about how the reason we did the book was because part of it was a political statement because we saw people like Mitch getting maligned. And in fact, that was a definite thing that kind of really kicked us into high gear. But the second thing is that when around the Christmas time of the election, 2016, we just noticed that there was no pro-Trump stuff out there. And so we said, well, there's a vast blue ocean, as my wife says, of an untapped market. So we are going to definitely cater to that market. Now with My Hero Macadamia, when we tried to break into the comics market, we kind of had to do the same thing, but we had to retinker it because in this case, we weren't trying to retell a story. We were trying to tell a brand new one. So when Mark and I came up with a script, one thing that we did was we said, there's no need to try and characterize the Trump character in one way or the other. Write Trump as if it's Trump. Use his lingo, use his wording. I've made the analogy several times that Donald Trump is like a Rorschach test. You see in him what you want to see. You kind of bring your biases to the table. Can he be obnoxious? Yes. But if you like him, then you like that obnoxiousness. If you don't like him, you're not going to like it. So I think that that's the power of Mark's storytelling is he's able to get into the character of Trump and let him speak for himself. And we were very surprised. The first review we got was actually from someone who is not a Trump supporter. And he was like, I don't like Trump, but I love this book because holy cow, like you captured his personality so well. So we kind of just put it out there. If you are left leaning, and there's several people who have read the book who are, they all like it. We have not had a single person who read it and was like, this is trash. The people who say that are people who haven't even read the book. I'm not going to mention their names, but one of them, I think, is a pretty prominent person right now in comics. And she was saying like, that book is trash. And I think someone called them out on it. Said, have you read it? No, I don't need to. Well, you don't know if it's trash if you haven't read it. I mean, we've gotten people on the left who read it and thought it was funny. It's actually the same thing in Trump's Space Force. I've actually been telling people it's like My Hero Macadamia 2, the unofficial sequel. It has the same type of humor in it. We're dipping into that same pool again a second time. So I think if you're not a Trump voter and you see it, it's ridiculous on its face. Actually, number one Marmaduke fan in his review of Black Ops, this was very flattering, but he said that where Mark and I have kind of made a name for ourselves is we take these high concept ideas, high concept humor, and we stick to the bit and we carry it through to execution. So it's like for Black Ops, when we pitch it to people, it's like G.I. Joe, but with a rabbit. And people are like, what? That's the craziest thing. And when they read it, it's like, oh, they were serious. They actually played through with it. Yeah. So I do think there's a time and place for it.
Yeah, I think it makes a difference that you're, you're fighting invading aliens too. So, I mean, that takes it out of the realm of our temporal politics.
Correct.
So we can have a little fun. You can have some laughs. I think it would be just as funny if it was Obama's Space Force or Hillary's Space Force. The jokes just write themselves. In any case, so I think it's for everybody. Just even if you're not crazy about Trump, we still have to laugh every now and again. So all right, I should have been scrolling through the chats. So Milkman says 83K. I'm getting some celebratory, several. Wow, and Trump Space Force is just a few dollars. Let's check. I mean, I'm actually way behind on chats too. So let's go over and check. Let's see what we've done. Space Force is at 21,951. So,
my goodness.
Yeah, somebody just push Space Force over the top. I am not ending this broadcast until we hit 22K for Space Force on Indiegogo. And thank you all very, very much for supporting Red Rooster Golden Age. 83,057 US dollars raised with 22 days left on the clock. Tick tock. Tick-tock. Time is running out. So Space Force, $49 away from 22,000, and then we can all go to lunch, and I can leave you people be until next time. So, all right. So Jorge Vicente says, so I'm a centrist and love macadamia. Hopefully Space Force keeps that same tongue-in-cheek feel that MAGA did. I think it will. I think it's going to be even better. Let's see. Sketch Therapy says he's backer 198. Is cool. Red Rooster from Arkansas? We are. I'm way behind. So I'm going to just go ahead and scroll to the bottom and maybe go backwards. Right. Woohoo! Everybody's excited. Lux Max Nike says, well, I don't want it to ever read anyway. I don't know. Maybe I should never go in reverse because now I'm not going to know the context of what everybody's talking about. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for all the congratulations messages. It was very wonderful. I appreciate everyone's high energy. Give me your energy. Give Tim and Mark your energy.
Dragon energy.
Rooster energy.
That too.
Yeah. Hard to meme when you're neurotic about microaggressions. Yeah, just chill out, people. Chill out. Take it easy. Relax. Let's not be, why so serious? This is what Hollywood tried to tell us a few years back. Why so serious? Sketch Therapy said he has an opinion, says Image Comics is very superficial. I prefer depth comics. Well, Image Comics is just a company that produces a wide range of books. They have their business model, and I think we're developing several different ones, perhaps simultaneously. It's a massive experiment. That's what capitalism is. That's what business is. We will see what happens as we all go down the long, hard road of business. Sith Lord Luke Skywalker reminds me of a forest that you need to make a lot of paper to draw comics. Well, I hope we can make a lot of paper drawing comics, and then use a lot of paper drawing our comics. And then we'll have to also use a lot of paper to print our comics. So,
we need to bring this up. Holy cow. This is important. This is really important. Everyone listening in the chat right now, holy cow. We have to address this. How many of you want to see a Chumley plush toy?
Yeah, let us know. We've been talking about it. So Chumley and Rascal. So Rascal is Rooster's doggy sidekick. So Tim has introduced me to the wide, wonderful world of plushy entertainment.
That sounds really weird.
It does sound weird.
I have to tell my wife that. It was like, did you ever think that one day Mitch Breitweiser would say, Tim Lim is introducing me to the wide world of plushy entertainment?
The wild and woolly world of plushy entertainment. So we're talking about making Plushy and Rascal plushies. And, of course, Tim is making Black Hops plushies as well. So let us know in the chat what you think about that.
Would you want a Chumley that makes the Chumley noise when you
Oh my gosh.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. That is our
Hey, do you guys want it? Do you guys want it? If you're listening in the chat right now, please let us know. Do you want a Chumley with or without the pterodactyl sound feature? Yes, you do? Oh my gosh, yes? Okay, great.
Mitch have a great personality. I think he'd make a live killer team with EVS and Cecil. I've been on live with EVS and Cecil a few times. You can dig through there. I was just on with EVS last night. Thank you. I am working on my personality every day. It does take a little while to get used to talking to your webcam on YouTube to people that aren't in front of you, and sort of adjusting your body language and parlance and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to get to be a better radio host. I have done quite a few radio shows as a guest. That helped a lot. But yeah, hey, get better at this stuff. Talk in front of people. Talk in front of an audience. It's some people are just natural, but it can't hurt to just be better at it. It's going to make you a better employee. It's going to make you a more valuable employee. It's going to open up opportunities like this, where I can turn on YouTube and host these fine gentlemen and help them sell some Space Force books, help myself sell some Rooster books. And like I said, it just makes you more valuable, both to yourself and to others. So do it. Dig deep. Dive in. Give it a try. Jack Cooper says he ordered Cyberfrog today. Late to the party, Jack. Oh, my gosh. I plan to order Red Rooster next. All right. And he says he has an opinion that says down with progressive totalitarianism in comics. Totalitarianism is not welcome anywhere, in comics or otherwise. If you're a totalitarian, you can be trebucheted into space. The Outpatient says one of the 12 signs of the Chinese zodiac was a rooster. It's a Chinese symbol of honesty. Well, I tried to be an honest fellow, as well as physical and moral fortitude. Oh man, am I the red rooster? Only time will tell. Compare Jay Leno or Johnny Carson to Jimmy Fallon or Colbert, SJW's Kill Comedy. So Eric, I am not a fan of any of those. Well, no, I am a fan of Leno and Carson for sure, but not Fallon. I think is okay. It seems like he's kind of. I don't watch these shows. I haven't watched TV in like 10 years. So I always thought Fallon was kind of a funny guy, but Colbert, I never liked that guy. So anyway, my opinion. All right, so let's. If you haven't pushed Trump Space Force over, we're only $50 away. So you do that, and then we can happily go to lunch. We're gonna eat
It's
some.
at 21,976.
Oh yes,
One,
so we
one
did sell
more
one
at
more
25.
one more Space Force, and we'll go eat burgers. I know Mark Pellegrini is hungry. He told me early this morning that he he was already hungry.
I had a live stream with Umbrella Guy last night, and then I watched a Friday 13th movie and went to bed. But now
Hey, is that what you did? Because I don't know if you saw this or not, but I was awake until 3 in the morning, and Yellow Flash and Umbrella Guy, they did this long Friday the 13th live stream where they reviewed Night of
yeah,
the
but
Living Dead.
I know, but they did it on Discord, and I don't have a Discord account.
They did not do it on Discord. They were doing it on YouTube. So I was actually in the chat, like
They told me
communicating
they were
with
going to Discord. Okay, so I didn't bother. Damn.
Yeah.
Raphael Rice says, I love the idea. Tons of untapped mythology there that the West mostly doesn't know about. Ooh, yeah, everybody loves mysteries. And, you know, there was a time, obviously, like where, can you say the word Orientalism?
I am not offended by that word. I don't.
I mean, there's
I
like
have no opinion really.
They
With
made
it.
like that word. I don't know. They made so many words weird, but like there was a whole movement, right, in the late 18th or 19th century. It was in the late 19th century when sort of the Far East was opened up to the West, where you had this big Orientalist movement. But then these days you don't. I'm just going to say because that's a historical thing. So whatever.
The other word that you don't hear very much, but if you watch Deadwood, they use it all the time. But apparently, they used to call it Asian Celestials.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
because of the Celestial Kingdom. Basically,
Mhm.
that was kind of what the dynasties were referred to by Asians back then. But just for anyone listening, I mean, yeah, you might think it's offensive, but I mean, I'm Asian, and I don't know what credence I can give to it, but no one in my family thinks that word is offensive. It's mostly people, I think, getting offended on our behalf.
Yeah.
It's like when you say Oriental, it's of or referring to the Orient, which is Asia. So, like I don't know how you can find offense at that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're not gonna. Well, I don't want to delve into social politics, but yeah, I hate it's some of the stuff they've done with. Yeah, it's the shifting sands of language, right? I mean, it's and those that like to put shards of glass in the sand for you to step on, if you're not paying close attention to how they move the goalposts. It's frustrating sometimes. So anyway, moving on. Mitch says, Michael Clan says, Mitch, thanks for being a part of this community and bringing Red Rooster for us to love. Thank you, Michael, for being a part of our chat and hopefully a customer of Red Rooster and Trump Space Force. Travis Stevens says, swing on. It doesn't feel right not to swing. I think that's in reference to my comment saying I'm swinging for the fences, as we should all be right now. We should be gunning for home base, swinging for the fences, going all the way. Now is the time to do it. Absolutely. Bruce Patnow says, not really. Some indies in the 80s and 90s were top notch. Absolutely. Love and Rockets, The Crow, and a bunch of others. Okay, let's check. Let's check Trump Space Force because I'm ready kind of to shut this broadcast down. We're at 21,976. 21,976. We're looking for one more Space Force customer, and if we don't,
on the precipice.
If we don't get it in 5 minutes, my stomach is going to shut this live stream down.
Mine is too, so that's fine. Yeah, we will let it sit there, and I'm sure that as the day picks up, people will come in.
All right. So I'm just gonna. Somebody, Critias says Ethan isn't human. That's not nice. He is a 3XL human. With us, he might be beyond. He's beyond human.
So I'm late to that joke. Is he 2XL, 3XL? Like,
I think somebody was ribbiting for being maybe just slightly a touch overweight.
I mean, girthy, like a girthy stallion.
Yes, so he's a girthy. Yeah, so So sometimes if you're just a girthy stallion on webcam, it can be perceived as, I'm getting an F. I'm getting Fs here.
Hey, F for respects. Oh no.
Oh, okay. It's spinning on. Let me reload my YouTube here. Oh no, we're back. Okay. I must have experienced a hiccup.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. It's a meme from the chat. So anyway, he ran with it. It does look like he's working out as we all should. And I love this Booker T, who shows up in our chats using this is a wonderful psychological tactic, telling everyone they look jacked, which makes you feel good, and then reminds you that you should go to the gym and continue to look good and be healthy. So thank you, Booker T. You're not here right now, but Booker T is always here in spirit. I am going to wind this chat down. Thank you all so much. I think at max we had 160 people here. There are 119 dropping now because I know I'm ending the chat. Yeah, so Credulous is going to back Red Rooster. He says, wait, Mitch, I'll back Red Rooster and Trump Space Force right now. Okay,
Thank you so much.
Right now, he's going to push you over the edge. Mitch is the Fabio of comic artists. I still have a little bit more getting jacked to go before I can call myself the Fabio of comics. But I will say I am married to the wonderful Melania of comics, Elizabeth Breitweiser. I'm just saying that right now. Somebody said that a couple days ago, that she was the Melania of comics, and I think that's right. I'm going to run with it.
You need grace and poise to be the Melania of anything, so that is a great compliment.
Yes, absolutely. She has grace and poise, and she's going to be coming on camera with me more in the next few weeks. All right, so let's check. Let's see if he's bought Trump Space. Yes, Trump Space Source. Ba-boom.
You the man, MVP right there. You are awesome.
$22,000, $26 raised. We did it. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. It's backed and jacked, baby. All right.
There we go. Awesome.
So, all right, guys.
Some calories.
Yeah, let's go eat. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to Tim Lim. Tim, I'm going to give everybody nicknames. That's going to be what my channel's about. Tim, the Phantom, Lim.
Love it.
And Mr. Creepy, Mark Pellegrini. Mr.
I love
Creepy,
it.
Mark Pellegrini. The links are below for Red Rooster, Indiegogo, and Trump Space Force Indiegogo campaigns. Check them both out. Give them your consideration. Also, maybe check out Cyberfrog and Mike Miller's Lone Star. So, and there are many, many others going on right now. You can look at them all. It's a smorgasbord of products. So we're catering for anybody, right? So no matter what you like, it almost looks like there's something being made for you. And I think that's an absolutely wonderful thing. That is the market. That is capitalism. That is customer service. Those are all the beautiful things that should be available to you in this comic book industry. So thank you all very much. Have a wonderful Saturday. We're going to go to lunch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.